As Xiao Yan walked, he muttered to himself, "This isolated island is truly strange. It's actually shrouded above the vast expanse of the Xinling Imperial Pool." Meanwhile, his master, the Golden Dragon King, had transformed into a soul form, standing on his shoulder. After a few minutes of walking, their view began to open up. "Do you see that?" The Golden Dragon King pointed ahead to something not too far away. "What is that? Wood dragon whiskers? Fire rain vine." Xiao Yan instinctively blurted out the familiar names as they came to mind. As a high-level alchemist, Xiao Yan had long committed the names of these precious medicinal herbs to memory. So, upon spotting the plants with their unique hues from a distance, he immediately recognized them. A place with so many rare herbs, this must be a treasure trove. The Golden Dragon King smiled slowly. His dragon eyes scanned the area, but, finding nothing unusual, he motioned for Xiao Yan to move closer. After entering the forbidden area marked by a stone tablet, they followed a winding path that spread like a serpent. The mist that filled the forbidden area significantly reduced their visibility. However, as Xiao Yan drew nearer, he noticed that after several hundred meters, the path suddenly disappeared, revealing nothing but a large grassy field. On the grassy field, there was a small area, only a few meters wide, brimming with medicinal herbs. "Jackpot, jackpot," Xiao Yan mumbled, not letting his hands remain idle. He took out high-quality jade bottles, jade scoops, and other precious tools, crouched down, and began carefully identifying the herbs in front of him. "There's something strange about this place." The Golden Dragon King kept a watchful eye on the surroundings as he spoke softly. Even with his current power at the half-immortal level, he couldn't detect anything unusual about the island. However, the one thing he was certain of was that this island was the resting place of the meteorite. The mysterious energy within the Xinling Imperial Pool largely stemmed from the meteorite's power. "Take what you can and leave quickly. This place isn't safe for a long stay," the Golden Dragon King warned. "Understood." Xiao Yan knew this wasn't a place to linger. He crouched down, holding his jade scoop, and began carefully harvesting the valuable herbs from the patch in front of him. His jade scoop made a gentle movement toward the root of one of the precious herbs. These herbs were practically impossible to find in the outside world. Out of caution, Xiao Yan made sure to leave a small portion of the root intact so the herb could regenerate. As the jade scoop shifted again toward the root, the herb gently fell away. Xiao Yan's quick reflexes allowed him to catch it immediately and prepare to place it in a jade bottle. Whoosh! In an instant, Xiao Yan's pupils contracted as he noticed a disturbance. Crack! Crack! A crisp sound echoed like shattering glass across the island. The breaking sound came right as Xiao Yan plucked the herb using the jade scoop. Xiao Yan could only sigh. With rare herbs like these, you had to use top-grade jade tools to harvest them, and even the storage required jade bottles, or their medicinal potency would suffer greatly. Despite being so careful, the moment he took the herb, it inexplicably turned to dust. This was something Xiao Yan had never encountered before. "What a waste!" Xiao Yan shook his head, but without delay, moved toward the next herb. His jade scoop made another gentle movement, and the next herb fell. Crack! Crack! The same sound echoed through the air, and just like the previous herb, it crumbled into dust without releasing any energy. "This..." Xiao Yan stopped and carefully examined the small herb field that stretched several meters before him. One time might be a coincidence, but twice. He shook his head, his eyes showing a trace of doubt. "We're probably near the core of the island. Be cautious," the Golden Dragon King warned in a deep voice, still unable to identify the issue. "Damn it!" Xiao Yan cursed under his breath as he put away his jade tools. If these herbs couldn't be harvested, combining his earlier observations, it became clear that none of the plants on this island contained any energy. How could they grow in a place like this without absorbing any energy? The energy in the Xinling Imperial Pool was incredibly dense. The island must have absorbed a significant amount, yet none of the plants seemed to retain even the slightest trace of it. Where had that energy gone? Clearly, the mysteries of this island ran deep. Even Yu Xian, who knew much about this forbidden place, had very limited understanding of it. "What is that?" Xiao Yan suddenly looked up, his gaze locking onto two glowing points ahead of him. Those 2 points were formed from the herbs he had just plucked. At first, Xiao Yan hadn't noticed that when the herbs turned to dust, faint glowing points remained. But now that he focused, he saw them clearly. These points don't contain any energy, but I can feel a faint pull. Almost like something is calling them from deep within, Xiao Yan murmured. Let's go. The Golden Dragon King also noticed the glowing points, and his aura subtly spread out as he cautiously moved forward along the empty path. Whoosh! Xiao Yan didn't hesitate any longer. A massive white flame encircled his body, and the ancient ruler of heavenly flames appeared in his hand. If anything went wrong, he'd be ready to strike. Together, Xiao Yan and the Golden Dragon King proceeded toward the core of the forbidden area. As they left, the previously open herb field and everything around it, the path, the grass, even the trees, slowly vanished, disappearing without a trace. Damn it! Xiao Shou growled, ignoring the injured Depang beside him, as his aura flared, and he launched another attack at the silver dragon. Roar! 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 The terrifying roars of the silver dragon echoed across the space. Outside the Xinling Imperial Pool, Xiao Shou and his sister Depang were being completely overwhelmed by the silver dragon, a beast as powerful as a human 7-star Dodi. Brother, this silver dragon is too much for us. Depang's body was covered in various wounds as she spoke to Xiao Shou. We have no choice. If we fail, there's only one possible outcome, Xiao Shou replied through gritted teeth, refusing to relent as he launched another desperate attack. At the peak of the 9 fish playing with dragon array, a strange, writhing motion appeared in the void, followed by a sinister voice. Such pathetic fools. Damn it! This beast is growing stronger with every fight. And this space is so strange. Even my Dodi form can't be fully unleashed, and I can't replenish my Do Chi. Xiao Shou panted heavily as he spoke. The siblings had been battling the silver dragon for quite some time. If not for their strength, they'd have been crushed by the beast already. Damn it! Looks like this silver dragon is about to go all out, Xiao Shou realized as the silver dragon stopped in front of them. A terrifying aura equivalent to a 7-star Dodi spread out from the creature, the energy rippling with devastating power. We can't withstand this. Run! Xiao Shou shouted, pushing his sister Depang aside. Boom! 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 The massive silver dragon head charged forward, carrying the power to destroy everything in its path. Since you two still have some use, the writhing void at the peak of the 9 fish playing with dragon array stirred, and within a breath, a mysterious figure in a black cloak and hat stepped out from the shadows. As the figure in a pitch-black cloak appeared, the entire space subtly trembled. Go! The cloaked figure raised a cracked hand, hidden within the dark robe, and waved it toward the silver dragon, whose aura carried the power to destroy worlds. Swish, swish! The silvery dragon's battle energy, shimmering in silver, recoiled like a small fire doused by a mighty flood when it encountered the power of the dark figure. Die! The dark figure didn't relent. Instead, it intensified the force in its hand, and the dark battle energy began to coil around the silver dragon. Within the blackened energy, faint traces of flames flickered along its edges. Roar! The silver dragon bellowed, its voice filled with rage. Just moments ago, these two had controlled it, and as a member of the proud dragon race, such humiliation would not be forgotten. This disgrace could only be washed away by killing the two before it. In its fury, the dragon's body began to glow even more intensely. The golden fish patterns, 1, 2, and finally 9, shone brilliantly before they slowly merged into the dragon's form. Stubborn fool, the dark figure sneered coldly, and with a clench of its fist, the dark flames enveloping the silver dragon exploded outward. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying energy ripples spread throughout the space. In a matter of breaths, the explosion left nothing but devastation in its wake, and the silver dragon's gleam dimmed as it returned to the tray. Its pupils had vanished, and the patterns of the 9 golden fish quietly circled its body once again. You were lucky to flee, the dark figure snorted before looking away from the dragon. My lord. Xiao, who had recognized something the moment the dark figure appeared, instantly knelt after watching the defeat of the silver dragon, a creature comparable to a perfect 7-star Do-D. Stand up. This wasn't entirely your fault, the dark figure remarked, sweeping its gaze across the tray holding the silver dragon. My lord, the 3 from the incense pavilion have already entered the Xinling Imperial Pool. Xiao muttered softly. Worthless. The dark figure growled and kicked Xiao several meters away. Brother. Da Ping, enraged by the sight, glared at the figure but hurried to help Xiao to his feet. My lord. Xiao knew their lives now rested entirely in the hands of this figure, so despite the humiliation, he swallowed his pride. Leave. With a dismissive wave, the dark figure opened a portal next to the 9 fish playing with dragon array. Thank you, my lord. Relieved, Xiao quickly dragged Da Ping toward the portal. One day, Solomon's 7th gatekeeper, I'll make you kneel at my feet. Xiao swore silently as he disappeared into the portal. The Xinling King has truly grown senile. To send me for such insignificant individuals, what a waste of time. The dark figure sat cross-legged with a sigh. No matter. Losing 3 of your finest disciples, let's see how your incense pavilion handles the upcoming battle with the Xinling royal family. Since I can't enter, I'll wait. The day you emerge will be the day you die. The figure murmured as the space returned to its calm. Something feels strange here. Xiao Yan's voice echoed softly within the forbidden grounds. By now, Xiao Yan and his master, the Golden Dragon King, had almost reached the core of the forbidden area. The journey had been uneventful, but Xiao Yan grew suspicious as the deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the power became, as though something invisible was weighing on him, causing his chest to heave. Gazing ahead, he noticed several small streams, about the width of an arm, trickling out from deeper within. He counted. There were 7 in total. These small streams must serve a significant purpose. Xiao Yan murmured. Anything that flows from the heart of a forbidden land surely isn't ordinary. Crouching down, he extended a finger toward one of the colorless, transparent streams. Hiss! As soon as his finger touched the water, a wave of indescribable comfort washed over him. So soothing. Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a sigh. It felt as though his entire body was being cleansed, the purest of purifications, without a single trace of impurity. Seems we've found the right place, the Golden Dragon King chuckled. MHM. Xiao Yan nodded in agreement, recalling how Yuxian had mentioned that the meteorite lay within the core of the Forbidden Land. Few could reach this area due to the land's ever-shifting nature. The purity of the water was the only clue indicating their proximity to the core. The clearer the water, the closer they were to the treasure. That must be the core. Xiao Yan's eyes burned with anticipation as he stared into the misty space ahead. Though obscured, he could faintly guess that the origin of the 7 streams lay there. Surely the place holding the treasure. At the same time, something in his storage ring began emitting waves of intense heat, as if drawn by something deep within the Forbidden Land. Vigilant, Xiao Yan scanned his surroundings before continuing toward the depths. With every step, the space around him opened up, and the fog that had once obscured his vision gradually cleared. However, an ominous, almost imperceptible pressure seemed to creep in from all directions. Ugh. The deeper he went, the more Xiao Yan felt the oppressive force pressing against him, so much so that even his soul trembled, slowing his pace. This won't do. Whatever's inside must be far more dangerous than I expected, Xiao Yan muttered. Swoosh. Just as he hesitated, a golden power enveloped him. It was the Golden Dragon King's energy. Let's go. This is nothing more than a minor trick, the Golden Dragon King said dismissively. With that, Xiao Yan, now protected by the golden energy, pressed forward. It was strange. The moment the Golden Dragon King's power infused Xiao Yan, the oppressive force vanished without a trace. The arrangement of these 7 streams seems unusual, Xiao Yan muttered, his gaze never leaving the flowing channels. Could it be the formation of the 7 stars of the Big Dipper? The Golden Dragon King's puzzled voice echoed in his ears. The 7 stars of the Big Dipper? Xiao Yan fell into deep thought. Even without the Golden Dragon King's explanation, he could sense that the once chaotic streams were gradually aligning in a distinct pattern as they approached the core. It felt as if a destructive force was converging. To think such an arrangement of the 7 stars would be hidden here. The Golden Dragon King murmured. The 7 stars of the Big Dipper. Xiao Yan repeated quietly as he continued forward, his gaze never wavering. Huh? There's no path? Xiao Yan came to an abrupt halt, finding a solid wall blocking his way. Just moments ago, there had been a way forward, so why was it suddenly sealed off? Haha, that's normal. Look at your feet, the Golden Dragon King said with a knowing smile. My feet? Startled, Xiao Yan quickly glanced down. What met his eyes was a series of strange, prominent pillars beneath his feet. 1, 2, 7. What in the world is this? Xiao Yan exclaimed, eyes wide in disbelief. Calm down. It's just a simple defense mechanism, the Golden Dragon King said. The Big Dipper, even in ancient times, rarely appeared. But when it did, it always marked the presence of an extraordinary treasure. However, breaking through the Big Dipper's formation requires either exceptional talent or knowledge of its secrets. Without these, there's only one outcome, triggering the formation's rejection and unleashing its protective power. The Big Dipper contains the strength of the stars themselves, so even an 8-star Do-D would struggle within it. The Golden Dragon King added, eyes narrowing as he gazed at the 7 light pillars arranged on the ground. The 7 light pillars were arranged in the pattern of the Big Dipper, but curiously, there was no road ahead. Beneath the pillars, a faint stream of water flowed. The water trickled outward, matching the size Xiao Yan had seen earlier. At the entrance to the forbidden grounds, the stream had been the width of an arm, but here beneath the 7 pillars, the flow was so weak that it was nearly invisible to the naked eye. Fortunately, Xiao Yan's immense soul power allowed him to notice it. Compared to the large flow of water outside, this stream was on a completely different level. The water outside seemed diluted, whereas the needle-thin stream beneath these pillars contained immensely pure energy. Xiao Yan knew that if even his picky master, the Golden Dragon King, considered something a great treasure, then whatever lay in the core of the Forbidden Land must carry immense value. The Big Dipper formation? Even my knowledge of it comes only from ancient texts, the Golden Dragon King muttered after crouching down to examine the 7 light pillars. But, he continued, after a moment's thought, it doesn't seem that difficult. Before he even finished speaking, the Golden Dragon King reached out and lifted one of the light pillars, shifting it to another spot. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as the pillar moved, the ground before Xiao Yan split open, revealing an abyssal passage. Xiao Yan swallowed hard, his gaze filled with worry as he looked toward his master. Don't worry, the Golden Dragon King reassured him. I only read about this formation in books, but I once saw Tuasha use it. I've memorized the sequence. All right. Xiao Yan had no choice but to place his final hope in the Golden Dragon King. He muttered under his breath, Master, please don't let me down. Swoosh. Another pillar shifted, and the space around them grew intensely hot, with flames bursting into existence. Swoosh. A third pillar moved, and an enticing aroma filled the space, a scent so alluring it could easily cause one to lose their senses. Minutes passed, and the Golden Dragon King had finished rearranging the pillars. With a powerful shout, the Golden Dragon King unleashed his golden Do-Chi. If not now, then when? As the words left his lips, the 7 light pillars began to emit a brilliant glow, covering both Xiao Yan and the Golden Dragon King. Slowly, the pillars began to rotate and drift toward the transparent wall in front of them. They slammed into the wall. Xiao Yan hadn't noticed it before, but behind his master, there was a colorless, transparent barrier. Only now did he realize that the obstacle was more than just air. Bang, bang, bang. As the 7 light pillars merged into the barrier, the sound of a door unlocking filled the air, and the wall slowly parted. Swoosh. The 7 pillars transformed into a streak of light and vanished, but Xiao Yan barely paid attention to where they had gone. With the wall now open, new objects emerged into view. Bang! 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 The transparent barrier split apart, revealing what lay behind it. What is that? Xiao Yan's eyes widened in shock as he took in the scene behind the wall. Beyond the barrier was a vast, flat expanse, stretching for hundreds of meters. The ground was paved with intricately laid granite stones, creating a beautiful and orderly arrangement. In the center of this land stood an eye-catching structure. Suspended in midair, the object was round and about 10 feet in diameter. The most striking feature was a mysterious stone, no larger than a palm, embedded in the object. The stone slowly rotated, radiating a peculiar light that spread outward, casting its glow in all directions. That's... Xiao Yan's pupils constricted, and even his heartbeat quickened when he saw the stone. If I'm not mistaken, that's the meteorite Yu Xin spoke of, Xiao Yan murmured. He remembered clearly how this mysterious meteorite had led to the rise of the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan and the Xinling royal family's current power. However, Xiao Yan didn't rush in. He could feel a faint, yet terrifying energy emanating from the stone, forming an invisible barrier around a 10-meter radius. Entering recklessly would certainly end badly. Fortunately, he stood just outside the 10-meter range. Even I can't see through this, the Golden Dragon King remarked as he retreated a few steps to stand beside Xiao Yan. His golden dragon eyes scanned the space, analyzing the mysterious object. I remember Yu Xin saying that even he didn't know the origins of this meteorite. But one thing's for sure, it's ancient, Xiao Yan noted. Inside this stone, there are some mysterious impurities that could be invaluable for refining, Xiao Yan observed after some inspection. Indeed, Yu Xin was right. This meteorite holds a power tied to the formation of the Xinling Imperial Pool, the Golden Dragon King said. Though the energy outside pales in comparison to what lies within, Xiao Yan could clearly see that the mysterious meteorite, rotating within the round object, was the source of the pure energy. Just as Xiao Yan was about to say something, the imperial flame ring on his hand suddenly flared to life, and a fiery red sword materialized, hovering next to him. The sword's gaze seemed to be locked onto the meteorite, and a wave of intense greed radiated from it. This sword was none other than the immortal sword Xiao Yan had obtained from the mysterious realm within the forest of EngSubs. Though it was indeed an immortal artifact, it had been damaged, so Xiao Yan had never used it. Not only had he grown accustomed to wielding his ruler, but he also understood the principle of not flaunting one's wealth carelessly. Xiao Yan had always sensed that something was missing from this sword, which was why he hadn't taken it out since leaving the forest of EngSubs. To think the immortal sword would reappear now, Xiao Yan muttered. The moment they entered the Forbidden Land, a strong wave of energy had surged from his storage ring. Now it seemed certain that the source of that energy was none other than the immortal sword. Even damaged, this sword's value was immeasurable. An immortal artifact could turn the tide of battle. In a contest between evenly matched opponents, the strength of their skills and weapons determined the victor. Possessing an immortal sword could make one invincible. The sword is reacting so strongly. Xiao Yan turned his gaze from the meteorite and focused on the sword floating before him. Although he didn't fully understand the sword's true potential, the fact that 3 Do Xian experts had fought for it before showed just how terrifying it was, even in its incomplete form. Even Long Yi had feared it. Long Yi, what's the story behind this immortal sword? Xiao Yan asked, lightly touching his ancient ruler of heavenly flames. Don't ask me, Long Yi grumbled. When it was first forged, the sword shook the heavens and terrified the gods. But it hasn't been refined, or rather, it hasn't been consecrated yet. Long Yi snapped, clearly irritated. However, it was no surprise. Long Yi had been trapped by this immortal sword for thousands of years. If it were so simple, it wouldn't have warranted the attention of 3 Do Xian level experts in the past. Still, it seems this sword has its sights on that mysterious meteorite, Long Yi said thoughtfully. Perhaps it intends to use the meteorite to complete its final step. It's said that true immortal swords possess their own intelligence, but I haven't sensed any spirit or power from this one. Xiao Yan mused aloud. Suddenly, the sword emitted a faint humming sound, which resonated directly in Xiao Yan's mind. Could it be that it wants to devour the meteorite? Xiao Yan's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the immortal sword, now surrounded by fiery red dou qi. After a brief moment of shock, Xiao Yan regained his composure and gazed intently at the sword. At this moment, the sword gleamed with a fiery red light, and a mysterious dragon-shaped silhouette slowly emerged along the blade, vivid and lifelike. Ever since entering the Forbidden Land, the sword had been radiating increasingly intense waves of heat. Xiao Yan had the constant feeling that something on this isolated island was irresistibly attracting the sword. A sword's true form comprises both the blade and the scabbard. However, during his time in the mysterious realm, Xiao Yan had found no trace of a scabbard for this immortal sword, and that fact now weighed on his mind. The pulsating energy around the sword grew stronger, and Xiao Yan, without hesitation, gripped the sword, fearing it might rush into the 10-meter radius surrounding the meteorite. Even his master, the Golden Dragon King, had trouble detecting any abnormalities here, but one thing was certain. Anything that involved the mysterious meteorite was far from ordinary. Xiao Yan dared not act rashly. This energy, Xiao Yan thought. This wasn't his first time holding the sword. He recalled how, when he first claimed it in the mysterious realm of the Forest of Corpses, there had been no strange fluctuations from the sword. Back then, Xiao Yan had sensed that the sword was incomplete, so he had put it away, favoring his ancient ruler of heavenly flames instead. Given that the sword lacked a scabbard and wasn't fully functional, Xiao Yan hadn't paid much attention to it since. But now, the sword was emitting peculiar vibrations. As Xiao Yan gripped the sword, a scorching sensation suddenly surged through his body. Whoosh! A terrifying heat poured out from the sword, flooding into Xiao Yan through the hilt. It seems that when you first acquired the sword in the mysterious realm, its spirit hadn't yet awakened, the Golden Dragon King remarked, noticing Xiao Yan's confusion. But during your battle with the 9 Soul Steel and the Twin Ghost Emperors, the sword's intelligence likely awakened. The immortal sword has gained intelligence? Xiao Yan asked, surprised but delighted. Boom, boom, boom. The fiery heat from the sword rapidly spread across Xiao Yan's body. Though the temperature was overwhelming, it posed no threat to someone like Xiao Yan, who had fused 23 types of flames. However, after a moment, the sword suddenly grew quiet. Then, a powerful suction force emerged from within it, drawing Xiao Yan's dou qi into the sword. Damn it! Xiao Yan immediately realized the sword's intention and tried to pull away. But to his shock, the sword remained firmly attached to his hand, as if they had been bound together. No matter how hard he struggled, the sword clung to him like a mountain. Don't panic. Let it absorb, the Golden Dragon King advised with a chuckle, sensing Xiao Yan's growing anxiety as he considered using his vast soul power to forcibly sever the connection. Yeah, let it take as much as it wants, Long he added, his ancient ruler of heavenly flames glowing faintly. What's going on? Xiao Yan hesitated, following their advice and allowing the sword to continue drawing his dou qi. He could feel his energy steadily flowing into the sword. It was as if the sword was a bottomless pit, greedily absorbing the power created by fusing 23 types of heavenly flames. This must be the core of the Forbidden Land. To avoid any unforeseen changes, you should take out the conch, the Golden Dragon King suggested. Understood, Xiao Yan responded, retrieving the conch of the sea's voice. Though he knew the conch was an immortal artifact, it required special methods from the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan to activate, so he hadn't focused much on it. Whoosh! After absorbing nearly half of Xiao Yan's dou qi, the sword finally stopped. It seemed to be satiated, its blade now glowing with 23 distinct colors. Now that it's full, let's get to work, a teasing voice echoed through the space. Work? Xiao Yan was confused, realizing that the voice came from his master, the Golden Dragon King. As the words left the Golden Dragon King's mouth, the immortal sword, as if understanding human speech, trembled slightly before heading toward Xiao Yan's imperial flame ring. Thinking of running after eating your fill? Xiao Yan still didn't fully understand why his master was acting this way, but he trusted that there was a reason behind it. He quickly stopped the sword from entering the Imperial Flame Ring. The Imperial Flame Ring had been left by the Tuasha ancient emperor, and Xiao Yan had received the emperor's inheritance, allowing him to break through to the Dodi realm. Since Tuasha had been the Golden Dragon King's brother, Xiao Yan saw the Golden Dragon King as his master. Thus, Xiao Yan held absolute control over the Imperial Flame Ring. He had long suspected that the Imperial Flame Ring was anything but simple. Even with his peak Imperial Realm soul power and mid-4-star Do-D strength, Xiao Yan had barely scratched the surface of its mysteries. Xiao Yan figured that as his strength increased, more of the ring's secrets would be revealed. After all, most storage rings were only capable of holding medicinal materials or everyday items, inanimate objects at best. Weapons, especially immortal level ones, were rarely stored in such rings. Yet the Imperial Flame Ring could even house a weapon as powerful as an immortal sword, proving its exceptional nature. Still, now wasn't the time to focus on the ring. Xiao Yan cleared his mind and severed the sword's attempt to enter the Imperial Flame Ring. The immortal sword, sensing Xiao Yan's actions, floated dejectedly to the ground like a deflated balloon. This sword is acting like a spoiled child, Xiao Yan thought, feeling a mix of frustration and amusement. Heh, seems like you've taken quite an interest in that stone, the Golden Dragon King remarked to the sword. If you help us pass through this area, the stone will be yours. Really? A delicate voice echoed from within the sword. Of course, the Golden Dragon King responded calmly, his eyes flickering with hidden calculations. All right then. The sword's voice rang out again, and the blade slowly floated from the ground before coming to rest in Xiao Yan's hand. The moment the sword returned to Xiao Yan's grasp, his ancient ruler of heavenly flames fell away, and Xiao Yan noticed a faint heat emanating from the hilt. Though it wasn't particularly uncomfortable, he still took note of it. What's going on? Is this the sword's spirit? Xiao Yan wondered aloud. If only I were the sword's spirit, the voice from the sword sighed. Sword spirit? No, it feels more like a residual energy, Long Yi commented. After all, when those 3 Do Xian experts forged this sword, if it had already developed a spirit, they wouldn't have gone to such great lengths to capture me. Heh, the fact that you, the flame dragon, survived all this time. It must be fate, the sword's voice replied mockingly. You're nothing more than a remnant of the power those 3 Do Xians left behind, Long Yi retorted sharply. True, I am just a remnant, existing only to guide the sword towards someone worthy enough to unlock its full potential, the voice from the sword admitted. Well, the sword is in Xiao Yan's hands now, so he's its master, Long Yi declared. Him? The voice from the sword seemed doubtful. I'm not convinced. Why? What's wrong with him? Long Yi challenged. Though this kid's flame power is compatible with the sword, that doesn't make him the sword's rightful master. He's not the one, the sword's voice replied bluntly. Xiao Yan could only shake his head, feeling a mix of confusion and exasperation as Long Yi and the sword's voice bickered. Enough of that for now. We have more pressing matters to attend to, the Golden Dragon King interjected. Though he had initially ignored their squabble, it had grown louder and more intense, forcing him to intervene. Don't forget the stone you promised me, the voice from the sword reminded. No problem, the Golden Dragon King agreed. Though he wasn't sure of the meteorite's origins, it was clear the stone was incredibly valuable. However, he had already realized that the most precious thing in the core of the Forbidden Land wasn't the meteorite itself, but rather the mysterious droplets formed on its surface. Even the Golden Dragon King sensed a familiar aura emanating from the droplets. Gather your internal power, a soft voice echoed in Xiao Yan's mind. Understood, Xiao Yan responded, unsure of what the remaining power within the immortal sword intended, but he guessed it was to unlock the mysterious space ahead. Boom, boom, boom. Xiao Yan steadily channeled his Do Qi into the immortal sword in his hand. At that moment, the sword emitted a tremendous surge of fiery energy, which slowly encircled the blade. As the energy coiled around the sword, the tip of the blade suddenly pointed toward the location of the mysterious meteorite. This 10-meter radius around the meteorite is a highly unique space. Without special methods, it's impossible to enter, the voice from the sword explained. Hearing this, Xiao Yan once again scrutinized the core area. The mysterious meteorite now emitted a faint glow, and the next moment, a few inconspicuous droplets of liquid began to drip from the stone. The unassuming liquid from the meteorite trickled down and landed in the circular object suspended beneath it. Swish! As the liquid hit the circular object, an overwhelming force and dazzling ripple of energy slowly spread outward. What is this? Life energy. The Golden Dragon King's pupils constricted upon seeing the radiant glow from the circular object. At that moment, the Golden Dragon King understood everything. The strong life energy he felt originated from the mysterious meteorite. No wonder the immortal sword was so eager to claim it. The meteorite was far more significant than he had initially thought. What is that? Xiao Yan muttered, staring in awe at the dazzling light before him. His immense perception quickly expanded outward, and to his surprise, he discovered a vast source of life force emanating from the circular object beneath the meteorite. As this power washed over him, Xiao Yan noticed that the do-qi absorbed by the sword, nearly half his reserves, was rapidly replenishing. Even the fatigue and injuries he had suffered began to heal at an astonishing rate. A deep sense of comfort spread through him. What kind of object is this? Xiao Yan murmured as he gazed at the mysterious meteorite, frowning as he realized that it was the source of all these phenomena. Damn it! You've discovered it after all, the immortal sword, now surrounded by a swirling rainbow of 23 colors, muttered under its breath. Humph! The Golden Dragon King, realizing his earlier mistake, now saw that the mysterious meteorite was indeed the most valuable treasure in this forbidden land. Long E, act now, the Golden Dragon King ordered, his voice sharp. Long E, who had momentarily left the ancient ruler of heavenly flames, knew what to do. While his temporary separation from the ruler was possible with Xiao Yan nearby, Long E understood the urgency in the Golden Dragon King's tone. Damn it! Xiao Yan cursed, realizing that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't release his grip on the immortal sword. The sword clung to his hand as if bound to him. Little one, I'll need to borrow your body for a while. A strange voice echoed in Xiao Yan's ears, emanating from the sword. Suddenly, a brilliant light surged from the sword's hilt, creeping up Xiao Yan's arm and toward his mind, aiming to take control of him. The sword was trying to possess Xiao Yan.